So how many times have people come up to you and started singing the Beatles' Taxman?
I don't get that song very often. I get the Taxman a lot.
Taxman,
Yeah.
you know I'm singing?
Yeah.
So Toby Damisch. Damisch, I got you. Okay. And you are our county assessor.
That's correct.
What does a county assessor do?
County assessor is responsible for appraising all the property inside the county jurisdiction on an ongoing basis for the purpose of property taxation. That's the reason the office exists.
Right.
We do a lot more things, but without property taxes being tied to appraisals, there'd be no reason for us.
Sure.
So that's principally.
Especially in my city, considering that's how we pay for our law
Yeah.
enforcement and what we do inside of our city. How popular are you, especially at different times of the year?
Yeah, pretty unpopular
Yeah.
some years. So
Yeah.
you know very well that 2023 in particular
Yeah.
was a very tough and interesting year for property taxes. Colorado used to be pretty affordable on the residential side
Sure.
for property taxes. In 2023, that reappraisal really changed it. 50% average increase in appraised value in residential Douglas County, as high as 100% in some other counties. So that really changed the nature of property tax, and that wasn't a popular thing.
Not at all. I hear about it still to this day. So talk to me about what contributed to that. Obviously, it didn't come from your office. What caused that to happen?
Yeah, it's important to know our office just does the appraisal work.
Sure.
And we are the official record for title. So we are part of the title industry and making sure that real estate title is clean and can be conveyed. That's really important for economics here and throughout the country. But in 23, that was a reappraisal, happens every odd year in the state of Colorado. And in 23, it was responding to the big market push that occurred in residential in 2021 and 22. Basically the COVID years where we had high demand, low interest rates, a perfect storm which increased values across the country, but especially in Colorado.
Absolutely. And homeowners around Colorado were very unhappy, but obviously people with a home that was valued higher, like in my city, that had more expensive homes, they were very, very unhappy. One of the questions that I got from residents that wanted me to absolutely ask you, if you wanted to appeal an appraisal, they thought it was unfair. I'm sure you've had this question asked of you. How do they go about that? How do they appeal an appraisal of their home?
Yeah, there's two ways to do that. Colorado is really friendly for property owners in this area, any kind of property owner, residential, land, commercial, in that we have two ways to do that. So the principal way, and where 90% of people do it, is each May 1 of each year, you can file an appeal of that year's value with your county assessor. And here you can do it online, via email, in person, or mail it in.
What do you have to be able to do that?
You don't have to have anything.
Just make a good argument?
Yeah, you don't even have to do that. It really depends on the county assessor. Here at Douglas County, you just need to tell us that you would like to challenge it, and we'll take it from there. But what most people do is they do a little homework. They look at the appraisal that we do as of May 1, and they say, is my property worth this or not? And if they believe no, then they go and say, okay, can I check comparable sold properties from the neighborhood? Is there something about my property I need to tell the assessor? Those are the two things. Do the sales in your neighborhood really support the level of value that we're at? Because if they're not, then we should adjust it until it does. And the second thing is, what's the condition of your property? And this is a big one.
Yeah.
Now, in 2023 is all about everything going up and people not wanting to pay those taxes, and we understood that. But in normal years, condition is really the big factor, because we're not inside people's houses. We don't know what kind of condition they're in. Do they remodeled? Have they never remodeled? What's going on?
Sure. And I had a lot of people ask me this, because as the thread on Nextdoor, this question came up. Many people weighed in and said, well, I tried and I failed. I tried to appeal, I failed. Not one person who said they appealed said that they actually won the appeal. So the question was, ask Toby, how many people actually win their appeal?
In 2023, it was half.
Really?
Yep, it was half. So we adjusted about 40% at assessor protest, which is the first level of appeal, which occurs in May. And at the second level, called County Board of Equalization, we adjusted another half of those. So we got to about 50%. What's interesting, this year in 2025, we've already, we're in the middle of County Board of Equalization right now, and we've already adjusted 60% of our residential appeals for this reappraisal. Now, historically, the numbers are lower. 25, 30, 40%. That's average.
Okay.
And that goes across counties throughout Colorado. But in these past two reappraisals, we, especially here in Douglas County, have adjusted more than half of the appeals.
Why? Why the numbers? Why are they high?
Well, I think in 23, certainly you had a very unusual situation with that reappraisal, where values are going up, 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 and then we have to chase it with a mandatory assessment. And we certainly had a whole bunch of sympathy for our property owners.
Yeah.
We're all homeowners too,
Yeah.
right? So we're looking at that situation and hoping state legislature would do something about it, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
And-
Sorry.
And that didn't really happen.
No.
So I think there was a lot of emotional weight for us to really look very closely at each appeal and ask the question, is there any way I can find to reduce this? Absolutely. So that happened in 23. In 25, now we're coming out of that. We're in a very unusual real estate market now. And so it's difficult to appraise. And so when we're in these times where you have kind of a bumpy market, it's a little harder to get the value nailed down correctly. So I think that's the reason why we've got higher adjustment rates this year.
Well, I have two off next where I've got to ask you really quick, and I got these from several different people. So I'm going to even name who asked me these questions to ask you. So Rico asks, why haven't the senior? Let me see. It's worded funny. Why haven't the senior citizens property tax rebates gone up even though the taxes almost double for us?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. Amen, friend. That is called the senior exemption, for short.
Right.
It's been around for over 20 years. And the senior exemption is funded by state of Colorado government finance, all right? So the money comes from them. It's not a sacrifice of your local governments where property taxes go.
Right.
So they have to fund it. So whether the contribution or the investment they make to that goes up or down, the state legislature decides that.
Okay.
So it's not anything that any local officials can decide, not me, not you in your position, nor the county commissioners. There has been there's been a bill written by different state senators and state reps, usually from Douglas County, that expand the bill by doubling it or expand the bill by making it easier to qualify. Right now you have to have lived and owned your home for 10 years to qualify.
Is this Lisa Frizzell?
Yeah, Senator Frizzell's had a bill, and other local state reps have. But none of them have gotten through committee. They haven't even gotten on the floor of either chamber. And so what we need is really political pressure to happen at the General Assembly for one of these bills to get out of their committees and get onto debate on the floor so it can be expanded. In the 25 or so years since the senior exemption passed, I think the values of real estate in the Front Range have probably quadrupled. And the level of senior exemption adjustment has remained the same.
Yeah, really important for our community because we do have an older population.
Well, I'll add to this, Roger, it's actually under threat from going the other direction.
Really?
So each year, the General Assembly has to approve funding of the program. And we know what happened recently. We had a special session, and they had to tear apart the budget to save some money, I believe largely because of spending. And next year, they're going to have to find a way to budget and finance the senior exemption, and it is under threat. They may very well defund the program. And so we have to watch out for that.
That'd be a real problem. So contact your legislator. I'm absolutely willing to help you do that, and we can actually do something together. So Susan, also in my city of Castle Pines, she asks about the raising of the senior tax rebate to be more in line with increasing taxes. Is that possible to do?
Raising this, it sounds like the same question to me. Is that a different question? Yeah.
Maybe you should just asked it in a different way. I wasn't quite sure because of the
so let's talk about what it is. The senior exemption is calculated, it sounds complicated, but basically it takes $100,000 of value off the property.
Okay.
All right? It sounds more complicated than that, but that's how it works. It takes $100,000 off.
So it's about the calculation of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's how it's always been. And as we head into more budget trouble with state government, the question will be, will they cut that to a lower number? Because we've asked for it to go up. Let's index it with inflation, so as property values go up, that adjustment goes up. That seems sensible.
Okay.
But again, hasn't gotten onto the House floor out of any
committee?
in committees yet.
Right. So are there any exemptions for relief programs available for homeowners facing increased taxes?
Yeah, there are, but none of them are as big as the senior exemption. That's the big one. Yeah, between the senior exemption and the disabled vet exemption, so there's a very similar program to the senior for disabled vets, which we like a lot. There are 15,000 households in Douglas County that take advantage of those two programs.
Right.
The other programs that they have, which you can find on our website at douglas.co.us/assessor, there are less than 1,000 homes that take advantage of all the other programs combined. So they're really small programs that don't help a whole lot of people, unfortunately. But they are there. There are things like the tax work-off program. There's a tax deferral program. They just don't have the meat that the senior exemption program has.
Well, in Castle Pines, and you and I have talked about it just before we started doing this, but in Castle Pines, the city took over the Metro District's 12 mills for parks, which was good for the Metro District because it paid off debt. But for the city, it is a large mill that is dedicated only for parks, which is a large amount for families that are, especially if they're hurting still. How do we go about reducing that number? It barely passed in 2023 with our citizens, and I think if there was some voter information, we might be able to return some of those dollars back to our citizens.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't remember the details of the bill, or whether it allows for that inside the measure itself. Maybe you do, but it's not.
A ballot measure.
It's not incredibly uncommon for there to be a ballot measure that counteracts one prior to it.
Yeah.
And so that's what it would take. Yeah, certainly there's always a question about, because I don't believe that ballot measure incurred any debt, right? It was just a general levy dedicated to a certain program. So as long as debt's not incurred on top of that, it can be
just a simple vote.
Yeah, they could just be voted down and changed.
Yeah.
Sure, and
Good
it
to hear
happens.
that. So last question, and this is from John, also in the city. What resources are available? I think you may have answered this already. Available for homeowners seeking to understand their property tax bills better.
Well, we have an award-winning website. The prior assessor who I worked for, now Senator Frizzell, you mentioned, we put together a website that really was meant to provide every piece of information that exists both in our database as well in the property tax system that exists in Colorado. So all the answers are there. If someone's looking for programs to reduce their taxes, you go to that website. If you need to file an appeal because you believe your assessment on your property is too high, you go to that website. We really are trying, we're very hard to make it very easy to find information and take those actions if you want to take them. I think we've done a pretty good job with it.
Yeah. Award-winning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have any advice for somebody who's just maybe a first-time homeowner? That's rare in Castle Pines.
Absolutely.
Do you have any advice?
Castle Pines is a great example because we talked about the Metro District was there. There was a point in not too far history where it was one of the highest mill levy areas in Douglas County and in fact the state.
Yeah.
That Metro District had long debt, which was in trouble many years ago, and we're past that, which is great news if you live in Castle Pines North Metro District, that is. But certainly if you're shopping for a home, you need to pay attention to tax rates.
Yeah. And
let me give an example. And I don't make any judgment about buying in this neighborhood or that one, but if you have a $600,000 home here in downtown Castle Rock, you're paying a total mill levy of under 70. You go to a new neighborhood in one of these brand spanking new neighborhoods in Douglas County where all the financing is new and you have very high metropolitan district, you could pay a mill levy that's almost 3 times that. So for the same house, a tax bill 3 times the lower one. And we're talking about taxes that go from $4,000 to $12,000. So
difference.
that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And if you think about that getting embedded in your monthly mortgage payment, it's really important to understand that. So if you're working with a real estate agent, make sure they understand that that's a priority for you.
Yeah, shop around.
Shop around.
Yeah, thanks, Toby.
And look at Castle Pines.
Yeah, always look at that.
Yeah.
Always look at Castle Pines. Well, thank you, tax man. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Technically, we're the county assessor, but that's okay.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, talk to Toby. Actually, I'm always available as well. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Toby.
Thank you.
Thanks.